The power of prayer. Let's talk about what prayer is. Prayer is really the act of opening up to the presence and the power of the divine within ourselves. When we meditate and pray, we align ourselves to that divine power, bringing ourselves into a greater awareness of that divine power. That is us. It's nothing outside of us. It is us. It's who we really are. Depending upon how completely we believe that this power can and will assist us, determines the magnitude of that manifestation, right? The outpicturing. The stronger and clearer and more consistently applied our faith is, the more dramatic that response may be. It's not the only thing that determines that outpicturing, but it certainly is one of the biggest things. We must feel the prayer, feel as if we are experiencing what it is we are praying for. Think of our prayers in the now, as if what we are praying about is already here, because really it is in the ultimate sense. If it's more love we want, if it's healing that we need, that's ours by divine birthright. So it is here. It might not be manifesting on this physical plane, but it's here. And as you say the prayer out loud, it's important that you're living the prayer on the inside, feeling all those feelings that accompany a state, for example, of well-being, right? Or great love. What does it feel like? Why do people pray? Well, every civilization in history has acknowledged the need for prayer, simply to keep their lives running. Some pray because they're commanded to, and some offer gifts to God. There are many reasons. Some seek help, right? Some to just get still, to know the divine, to get divine guidance about some particular situation, to attain higher levels of consciousness, just to relax and recharge and regroup. In the New Thought movement, the movement that I subscribe to, prayer is the foundational practice of helping ourselves and others. So how does prayer work? Prayer works because of basic physics, I claim. Thought is a form of energy, and every thought is a prayer. We think 60 to 70,000 of them each day, whether we are aware of that or not. That's what science tells us. Focused positive thought creates great amounts of energy, right? That's the type of state, the state of consciousness we aspire to get through prayer and meditation. That energy has healing principles, right? So the importance of positive thoughts, the energy of our thoughts can affect our lives in both the positive and negative ways. It all depends on the thoughts we're holding in mind. Just as our positive thinking can manifest into positive outcomes, our negative thoughts can also bring about negative outcomes. We must be very vigilant about those thoughts. And if you're anything like me, most of us aren't that vigilant about them at all. We let them just live rent-free in our brain. So a bit about the physical aspects of prayer historically. The palms of each hand have a psychic center, or to be more descriptive, a floodgate through which the life force, some call it chi or prana, flows through. It's most effective to leave these psychic centers uninhibited. So some people will clasp their hands when they pray. If you believe in this, that's probably not the ideal posture. Some people hold their hands up out straight. Some people rub their hands and turn those centers out straight. It all depends upon what you believe, but allow the energy to pour forth. And you may even want to visualize a radiant white light streaming forth from the heart center, from the palms of your hands, while you're saying the prayer with great love and feeling. Whatever it takes rather, to allow you to use the most of you, to have the most of you engaged in that prayer, will bring about more effective praying. So keep that in mind. It might be different for you, but in terms of the different things that you do, but that's what's very important. Types of prayer: invocation, contemplative prayer, affirmative, and I consider meditation a form of prayer. It's a little different, but it's a form of prayer. Invocation: prayers whose main purpose are asking for help. These prayers of petition, right? Sometimes we have to consider, who is it that we're asking? because there really is nothing outside of the divine realm, right? And we are all part of the divine realm. So we want to make sure that those prayers are focused at the right energy, right? At the right level. Contemplative prayer, prayer beyond words, placing our full attention on the presence of God through the focusing on something like a phrase or a concept. Could be a Bible verse, could be a verse from a spiritual work, could be a spiritual poem, could be anything that moves you. You will know. This is all very individual. But it could be a concept like love. If you keep mulling over that concept, what does love mean to you? You get still and you think about love, and maybe love has a certain energy form for you. It feels a certain way. This mulling over, this contemplating on this notion of love may be an example. Affirmative, using affirmative prayer, we're using positive statements of truth, universal truth, those things that apply to all of us beings. And thanksgiving, to speak to God or the divine. In the New Thought movement, we believe this is the way Jesus taught us to pray. We get inklings of this through a verse in the Bible, Mark 11:24. And again, you don't need to be religious to make use of various different spiritual texts, the Bible being one, the Bhagavad Gita being another one, the Quran. There's many, many spiritual texts where master teachers and enlightened people gave us some really good examples, right? So I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. So we believe before the demonstration comes, because that is the truth of it. That is the truth of it. If we are praying about those things which are ours to begin with, more love, more health, happiness, joy, all that is good, they are ours by divine birthright. An example of this might be, I release my concerns into your care and keeping, dear God, knowing that you have my highest good in mind. And again, always knowing that God or divine essence is in the midst of us, right? It's not something outside of our energetic fields. We're all one. It's all part of us. So meditation is a means of transforming the mind, and what a very important practice this is. I highly encourage people to start a meditative practice. Encourages and develops concentration, clarity, emotional positivity, and a calm seeing of the true nature of things, who we really are. The more effectively we pray, the more effectively we tap into the divine realm. And I believe, for me anyway, over the last 25, 30 years of meditating, it's really enabled me to live a much fuller life, a much richer life, a more peaceful life, a life more full of all the things that I consider to be good. What type of prayers are most often used by people today? So Alan Cohen, an author who I absolutely adore, says the most rudimentary form of prayer is worry. Worry is the power of concentration turned against your own best interests. If every thought is a prayer, worry is one that many of us engage in, right? To think is to create. Every thought you think manifests according to its nature. An apple seed will not create an orange. An orange seed will not create an apple, right? The notion of something coming into existence without a thought preceding it is as preposterous as a flower growing without a seed to start it. So it all starts in the mind. Any great invention, any great organization or business all started with a thought, and a thought is a prayer. Think about it in those terms. We'll take the religious connotation away from praying, even though I know that's probably hard. If you fear or worry about something with emotional intensity, you will attract the object of your fear. The universal manifestation machine is unbiased in turning your thoughts into reality. We must be vigilant about our thoughts. Back to that thought, back to that notion. If you are not aware that your thoughts are powerful, you will spend a great deal of time thinking and talking about what you don't want, and you receive more of the same, and on until your life is in turmoil and you'll have no idea why. Many of us have walked that path. Many of us have walked that path. What we think, what we say, what we do, all very important, become who we are. The answer to this, reframe your thoughts to find the blessing rather than the problem. And we believe the tools on the online healing site will help us do just that. It's about living a better life. It's about healing ourselves in every sense of the word. How prayer helps. When we pray and meditate, we are accessing spiritual power that accelerates healing process. then in turn it is that spiritual power and energy that sustains the body, mind, or our life source. With prayer, you're directly accessing the source of your spiritual power. The spiritual energy can then be directed to any area of your consciousness that needs healing or transformation. Mind, body, soul, it matters not. That's how that works. So benefits of prayer and health. Science is starting to catch up. What master teachers have known for 2,000, 3,000 years and more. There's a handbook of religion and health. More than 1,200 case studies on the relationship between prayer and health are documented. Some of the findings include, and when we say the handbook of religion and health, this would hold true for people who have a spiritual practice. It does not need to be an organized religion. Okay, so let's put that out there. Heart patients were 14 times more likely to die following surgery if they didn't have a spiritual practice, or they didn't participate in a spiritual practice or a religious organization. Hospitalized people who never attended a spiritual gathering have an average stay of 3 times longer than people who attended regularly. Elderly people who never or rarely attended a church or participated in spiritual practice had a stroke rate double that of people who attended practice regularly. And in Israel, religious people had a 40% lower death rate from cardiovascular disease and cancer. Prayer, spiritual practice, meditation, all very vital. We have to get used to understanding that these things that we can't see are very often the most powerful and important things in our lives. Prayer and prosperity. And I realize everybody's definition of prosperity is slightly different. But again, I think it's those things that are good, right? Some people just think of it on the financial plane alone, but I certainly don't think it. I think of vitality and health and all that, abundance and prosperity. I consider that to be all one and the same. It's a spiritual truth. If it's a spiritual truth that it's the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, if we believe in that principle, think of it as a principle, forget the languaging from the Bible, then prosperity, among other things, is our divine birthright. Much like for health or healing, we can use prayer to manifest or bring into vision, bring into demonstration on this physical plane that which is mine to begin with. Prosperity, all that is good, okay? And an affirmative prayer along these lines: I'm a spiritual being, heir to the abundance of God's kingdom. My life is prospered and enriched. What helps prayer? Well, there are a couple of things that can aid us in the process of prayer and meditation. Lighting candles and incense, there are rituals that can help enhance our prayer time, as it enables us to become more focused as we pray and meditate. Whatever helps us to take a posture of concentration and sacredness will assist us, whatever it might be. Some of us use candles and incense. I know I do enjoy it myself. They can be used also to clear stale or stagnant energy in the space used for prayer or meditation. Many philosophical groups and spiritual groups do just that. Focus on the candle, on the flame of the candle, in specific patterns to reach higher levels of consciousness and a deeper meditative state. Again, that goes back to the contemplative prayer. Whatever we use as our anchor, could be a word, could be a poem, could be a spiritual passage, could be the flame of the candle. Some use energy balancing chakras that align with each of the 7 chakras of the body. So whatever works for you, explore it. Make it fun. What else helps? It's all about energy. Prayer or meditating at the same time in the same place is extremely helpful. Again, to create the routine, to hold the sacred space in that particular place, creating an altar before which we pray, praying with other like-minded people. We have a Thursday night group that meets weekly that does just that. And I tell you, the sensation that you walk away with when like-minded people are gathered praying or meditating is quite phenomenal. If you haven't ever tried it, try a local group in your area. The energy and create in certain words can be very helpful. And again, it all depends if you subscribe to the meaning of those words or what meaning you give. And to wrap it up, the most important thing, after you've done your practice in the morning, don't forget to carry it through in the rest of your day. Don't forget to bring divine consciousness into your journey. That guy looks pretty tired hanging out on that tree stump. Pray up and say thanks in advance to seal the deal.